In today's video, we are diving into an essential topic for anyone looking to ace the Azure AIML exams. Whether you're preparing for the AI-900, AI-102, DP-100 or AZ-900, we have got you covered with a complete exam prep guide. We'll walk you through key exam tips, scheduling policies and costs, and most importantly, the critical concepts you need to understand, like AI workloads, machine learning, computer vision, NLP, and generative AI. And by the end of this session, you'll be fully equipped to tackle these exams with confidence. And also, if you're looking to dive deeper into Azure AI ML, we are offering a completely free masterclass to further boost your preparation. Join professionals like Utkarsh, Shrija, and Debashish who have transformed their careers with hands-on learning just like this. The registration link is in the description as well as in the pinned comments, so be sure that you register today. So now let's get started with your Azure exam prep journey.
So official guide, we'll just go through AI-900, AI-102, DP-100, AZ-900, okay? Exam prep guide, okay? And in that regard, let us just look into some basics. Are we good to go, everyone? All right. So we'll look into the basics, okay, and some FAQs that students do have when they are appearing for the exam for the first time, okay, maybe after a break, okay. So the first thing is when it comes to exam FAQs, scheduling and policies. First of all, we'll go through this and then we'll go through some questions also that can be very helpful. Okay. So first thing is you can register 90 days before for the exam. That is a good thing. You should try that out because that will give you, in the hindsight, you will be more prepared about an exam coming up, right? Limits. You can have a maximum of 2 exams scheduled at one time, which is also good. Retake policy. If you do not pass it in the first attempt, you need to wait for 24 hours. And then there is subsequent waiting period for 7 days. And then 14 days, some kind of a subsequent period is there. Cost, I think it is based on the region, it does vary. But as per India, it is 165 USD for associate and expert. And for fundamental, this is around 99 USD. And it is also sometimes often very less apart from that. Okay. Now, exam tips, a score of 700, which is a cumulative score out of 1000 is required to be achieved. You are not aware which question comes for how many marks. That is not at all being uh, specified, but based on the number of asks that are there in the question, you can understand that the weightage of that question will be more. Question type, you can expect multiple choice, case studies, drag and drop, build list, hot area questions. You'll be able to find all this. A 5-minute break, this is, I have found it from the documentation. Okay, a 5-minute unscheduled break is allowed in most exam. You just need to inform the proctor that, hey, I want a break of 5 minutes, and exact 5 minutes you can say, and they can allow you. But just do check it out. Many a times the people are not aware, okay, the proctors. So if that can be the case, to make a note of it. If your language is not English, you can even accommodate extra time in advance. I think via the, when you book for the exam at that point of time, you can raise the request to Pearson View. Okay. Now we'll look into AI-900, Azure AI Fundamental. What is the workload? What are the skills that are required to be measured in this exam is AI workload, ML principles, computer vision, NLP workload, and generative AI. Okay, right now they have made the exercise very intuitive and very skill based. Even this exercise for AI 900, it's more of a UI, but it does make sense of whatever they have created, to be very honest. Okay, so the skills measured: AI workload, ML principle, computer vision, NLP workload, generative AI. Okay, these are some of the skills that are measured. Okay, taking you ahead, key concepts. The key concepts are AI workload, right? Okay, so computer vision, NLP, knowledge mining, generative AI, and machine learning. Okay, what is computer vision? Ability of a computer to be able to read the images, detect the objects in the image. Okay, NLP, being able to comprehensively understand the text and take actions on that. May be able to do sentiment analysis, may be able to do question answering, may be able to do language understanding. Knowledge mining, we know that when it comes to knowledge mining, it is about extraction of information from multiple sources of data. Generative AI, a comprehensive suite wherein we can generate text, generate image, generate video, to be very honest, generate almost code, every kind of content, integrating it with agentic AI. Machine learning forms the basis, machine learning, deep learning, wherein supervised, unsupervised, led to the advent of generative AI, which is the cake right now, which everyone is fond of. Machine learning, we need to understand what is the difference between regression, classification, and clustering. Regression, you predict a number. Classification, you predict a category. And clustering, you group similar items. Okay. Clustering and classification both are part of clustering only. In one, the label is available in classification, whereas in clustering, the label is not available. Taking you ahead, key concepts. Computer vision is one of the concepts. You can find key phrases, extract the information, do translation, sentiment analysis, image classification, object detection, facial expression recognition, OCR. All this are part of vision. Taking you ahead with generative AI, this is where you understand how LLMs are used for content creation, conversational AI system, image generation, video generation, code generation, getting an output in a particular format. You can see all those things as an action part of generative AI. Again, very important thing when it comes to AI 900 exam, they will ask you about, you will find lots of questions with respect to responsible AI, wherein the AI system should treat all people fairly, it should be safe and reliable when designed, security should be maintained, privacy should be taken care of, inclusive, that means every person in the society should be able to use it and it should empower everyone rather than neglecting some. Okay, like a loan, approval should be fair rather than bias and include women also in the society. Okay, considering that women are not being considered for loan in a major chunk of the globe, right? In that case, it should be inclusive, transparent, so that humans are able to understand what AI system is saying, and accountable, wherein people should be accountable who are creating the AI system so that they can be held responsible if something goes wrong. Taking you ahead, I would like you to try this out. You want to create a model to predict the sales of ice cream. Can you try this out? Regression models are used to predict a numeric value, right? Ice cream sales, right, is a numeric value. What will be the number of sales or maybe the cost of each ice cream? Okay, so regression is the correct choice. Classification predicts a category, whether the ice cream was hot or cold. Okay. Now you work for a wildlife sanctuary and want to use AI to identify bird species from images. Which service should you use to prototype this idea? Absolutely correct. And this is what you'll see in the exam also. AI vision has pre-built models. Okay, you can even create a custom model. Pre-built model should be good enough to do image classification and object detection. This is the perfect service that you can use for bird. Okay. Taking you ahead, which principle of responsible AI? This you will be a little in trauma or stress because this all answers look same, right? But this is where you need to be smart enough because I see many questions coming from responsible AI. So which principle of responsible AI emphasizes AI system should treat all people fair and avoid bias? Different groups, and this is also which feature is most correlated to fairness out of all six? Transparency, no. You can say, but most correlated, if I say, it should be inclusiveness. That means it is including all people of the society, similar to how it needs to be fair. All right. Okay. So now you do have a skill set. Okay. Test your knowledge. Go to this AI 900 exam prep set and try to attempt and see if you can score well. And that should be good enough for you to have clearing the exam also. Now we'll go through the next part, which is about AI 102. Azure AI Engineer, wherein we design and implement AI solution using Azure AI services and Azure OpenAI also. These are the skills that are required. If you see 25% in planning and managing, 5% if you see with respect to generative, sorry, 20% with respect to generative, agentic AI holds up to 10%, computer vision 10%, NLP 15 to 20, and knowledge mining 15 to 20. So if you see, if you really want to clear the exam, understanding the business use case, high level overview, okay, can really be helpful because you need to plan and manage which service to use when. Okay, more of AI 900s and some business use cases will be important, taking it forward. Taking you ahead, when we say planning and manage, this content covers creating and managing AI services. Okay, cost, implementing responsible AI, monitoring services, all this will be part of manage. Computer vision, this goes beyond AI 900. Here you make use of Azure AI Vision, custom vision, video indexer, spatial analysis for real-time video, all those aspects comes in here. Taking you ahead with conversational language understanding. This is the new service, not new, fairly old now, but earlier there was something else. Okay, wherein conversational language understanding is part of language service, to be very honest. You must know the intent and the entity to be able to automate the action, okay, via maybe an IoT device. And then there is something called as language service. This helps us build sentiment analysis, key phrase extraction, personal information detection, okay, question answering, conversational language understanding. Then we have speech to text and text to speech. You can do voice generation from text to speech, and you can write transcript from speech to text. And there are a whole lot of services that are available. Azure OpenAI also has something called as Whisper, which does speech to text. Text to speech, sorry. I guess speech to text. Okay. Taking you ahead, Azure OpenAI. This is where GPT-4, GPT-4o, GPT-5, and there are so many variants of GPT-5 comes into picture via Azure OpenAI. And then comes prompt engineering, wherein you will understand how to design prompts, okay? Give context, few short prompting, system message, user message, all those aspects will come into picture when you'll be looking into prompt engineering. Then there is AI search. This is where you create a search solution wherein you structure the data in an index form, and then you run an indexer or a scheduler so that you can populate the data and then pass it maybe to an LLM or directly query the data via an application, okay, to create intelligent search system. AI skill sets are being acquired by Azure AI Search, where you can do OCR, language detection, maybe sentiment analysis, anything you want to do, you can make use of AI search on top of the index that has been created to build a far more intelligent solution. Okay, then there is RAG. When we say about RAG, I think we are aware that it is a pattern to be able to ground the model with your own data. And then, though not available, but you will see it in the exam, bot framework. Okay, not directly there in the course, but bot framework helps you build. Now, rather than bot framework, you have Copilot Studio, which helps you build, test, and deploy a conversational AI bot, which integrates with language translation, any services that are available in Azure, you can integrate. Finally, a large part of AI 102 is also about securing your AI service. Okay, like what is API key? What is managed identity? Okay, like if you want to authenticate, you will find this kind of a question. If you want to authenticate a web app to consume AI service, how can you do that? Okay, without writing any keys, can you make use of Key Vault as a managed identity? Okay, role-based access control, who can manage your AI services, locking down your like virtual network, okay, not enabling public network, just enabling the service via private network so that no one can access it via the public internet. This all things will again be very handy. Now you want to implement a solution that extracts text from scanned document, both printed and handwritten text. Which service would you prefer? It does OCR, right? Specifically designed. You can use document intelligence also. Content understanding, Azure content understanding also you can use. That can also be very handy. Now you need to analyze a large archive of video file to extract spoken words, identify faces, and translate the content. Which service is designed to do that? Okay, while other services handle part of this, Azure is specialized. Azure AI Index is specialized. Now content understanding also is specialized to be able to bundle translation, transcription, face detection, video insight, everything is possible. Now you need to build an application that can extract key phrases, determine the sentiment, detect personal identifiable information from text. Which service can you use out of the given options? All right, this is pretty correct. Now you have an Azure web app that needs to call the Azure AI Vision service. You must ensure no API keys are stored in your app configuration. What is the most secure way? Managed identity is authentication via Azure Active Directory. Don't you think this is far better? An application deployed as a web app. It's not for passing the key within the code. For passing the key within the code, you can make use of key vault, right? But to access an application. Okay, so you're building a chatbot using Azure OpenAI. You need to ensure that model responses are filtered for hate speech, sexual content, and violence. What built-in features should you use? Content filtering. Okay, it automatically detects and filters harmful content at levels like low, medium, high of severity. Taking you ahead, you're building an AI search solution. You need to enrich the search index by extracting text from scanned PDF and translating it. Which feature of AI do you use? Translate also. Feature of AI to be added to AI search. Which one? Okay. Now you're migrating. There were language understanding application earlier. Now you want to migrate it to conversational language understanding, which is part of language service. What is the new? Sorry, I just specified. What is the new? Actually, it is not CLU. It is language service. Okay, you can understand. CLU is a part of language service itself. That is a successor to LUIS, language UI for understanding solution. Okay, now all conversational apps you can use CLU, which is part of language service. DP-100 Azure Data Scientist, design and implement data science solution on Azure, design and prepare ML, explore data and experiments, train and deploy model, optimize language model. Though not mentioned in this course, we have not put it because this is repeatedly coming in other skills also like AI 102 and some aspects of transformers that we were looking to cover and we had covered, right? Taking your head key concepts, ML workspace. This is the core wherein you see almost all the things as a part of a studio. Data store, compute target, environment, everything you'll be able to see. Experiments where you run code as job. You can use ML flow to log metrics and parameters from your job to track and compare and automated ML. This is where you can use auto ML feature to automatically train and tune your hundreds of model and find the best one out of it. Maybe regression, classification, NLP, image recognition, anything you can do directly from here. Deploy model as online and batch endpoint. For asynchronous, go for batch endpoint. For real time, go for online. Okay. Then optimize LLM, I told you prompt engineering, prompt flow, RAG, fine tuning, all those are new critical domain that are part of DP-100 certification. Compute instance, cloud-based workstation available within the Azure Machine Learning Studio. Right in the studio, you have that compute instance wherein you can create cluster, Kubernetes, compute instance, attach virtual machine as a compute. Then I told you about compute cluster, right? Where you get multiple nodes. Managed endpoint, the compute target, where you can deploy your Azure machine learning models, which can scale. Managed endpoint, I told you, these are managed wholly by Azure. Okay, you're not required to worry about it. And then you have self-managed and self endpoints also. Data store, this is the connection to store to the underlying data service. The data service can be any apart from blob, it can be any data set, data asset, the reference to your actual data within a data store. It's more like an object. Data store is like a connection. Data asset is an object to your class, which is your storage service. Then comes job, a single script. If you remember, command job, pipeline job, and I told you about command, pipeline, and there was sweep job, right? Different types of jobs are there you can run. Command job runs a single script. Sweep job runs multiple models in a single script. And a pipeline job creates multiple scripts. A pipeline job can also be a sweep job. And what is pipeline? It's a flow of multiple steps stitched together so that you can create a pipeline. This is the standard for doing an ML flow. If you see, when we were trying to get a prediction, it was again building a pipeline. So pipelines are the standard for ML ops, trying to create reusable components that you can use in your operations. LLM techniques, again, ML flow is an open source tool, right? Which can be used to track and log experiment, which we were able to see yesterday also. Then if you see, we have data preparation, pandas, scikit-learn. Okay. Then you have model training. Okay. Then you have visualization, and then you have different types of visualization, different types of algorithms for model training, and then GPU memory is also there. CPU memory is also there. You can try prompt flow, RAG. I think we are aware about it. And I would like you to try this. You need to deploy a model to get the prediction for a large volume of data that is processed overnight. The process does not need to be real time. Which deployment would you prefer? You are developing a generative AI application, okay, and need a visual tool to test different prompts, define prompt templates, and chain prompts together. Which ML tool should you use? Okay, prompt flow is the specific visual tool where you can see what is happening. Evaluation is happening in the Foundry also, but you want to see and see the things, create, run flows, link prompts, tools, data together, then you can go for prompt. You need to enable LLM to answer questions about your company's private document without retraining the entire model. What should be the best option? RAG is the process of retrieving, augmenting the prompt, and generating the response. Absolutely correct. What is the primary compute target used for developing scripts and notebooks in Azure Machine Learning Studio? It is persistent within the VM. Which one? Where you write the scripts. Instance. Cluster you use for training the model. You're running a training script that requires a specific Python library. How do you define this code dependency? Specific library. What should you do? A job or an experiment or a pipeline? Environment. Absolutely correct. Finally, during an experiment, you need to log metrics and save the model. What open source tool should you use for this? Correct. MLflow is tightly integrated into Azure Machine Learning to manage the machine learning lifecycle. You can use commands like mlflow.log underscore metrics, log underscore model in your script to log everything that you want to log. What is the difference between data store and data assets? So data store is the connection and data asset is the reference, data reference. Again, you can go through the test. And finally, let me just take you through Azure Fundamental. If you're interested, cloud concepts, Azure architecture and services, Azure management and governance, about costing and everything, you can see it here. So capital expenditure, spending a lot of money on physical hardware. Operational expenditure, which is the cloud pay-as-you-go model. So you need to have understanding of which one is better for your need. Public cloud like Azure, AWS, private cloud, hybrid cloud. There are different cloud models that you can look for. Okay. Taking you ahead. Service model, you have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. This is service models, three service. There is container as a service also. Many a times you will find that also. Container is part of infra only, but people do consider it separately in some cloud. Core architecture, understand region, availability zone, and physical data centers, and what is region pair. So if one of the region is down, another region pair will automatically have the data up and running and keep your application supply ready. Okay, even in the hindsight. Resource group, it's a container for managing and resourcing, managing your group as per your requirement, managing your resources as per your group. Taking you ahead, governance, Azure policy, role-based access control, resource lock, Azure cost management, anything you can use. Okay, role-based access control, who can do what? Azure policy, even if they have the role-based access control, compliance do not allow them to do that. Resource lock, do not allow anyone to delete the resources. There is something called as resource lock. In every resource group, you will have resource lock. Cost management, you want to monitor, optimize, analyze your cloud spending. You can go for cloud uh, cost management. All these are available within Azure. Wonderful. Thank you, Aniket. Taking your head, what is the term for pay as you go pricing model? Where are you billed monthly for the services you consume? Think about it. Where are you billed? In the pay as you cloud, pay as you go pricing model. For the capital, for operational, for platform, or for a service. It's operational expenditure. Only pay for what you use. Operations. OPEX model. I told you there is OPEX model and CAPEX model. Pay as you go is the cloud model. Now, Microsoft 365, formerly known as Office 365, is a prime example of what? Infra, platform, software, or hybrid. Think about it. It's a software as a service. Absolutely correct. Okay, now which feature allows you to enforce rules across your resource, like compliance? Compliance, I'm saying, not access control. Compliance. That you cannot deploy in this region, you cannot create this resource, this name cannot be given. Policy. Absolutely correct. That's it from my end. Now, how to plan for your exam? Simple. Review the study guide, go through K21 Academy content, get hands on, go through Microsoft Learn, read documentation that has been provided, take practice test from K21, okay, anyone from Microsoft. And that's it. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed whatever we covered today. Thank you.
So that wraps up today's Azure AIML exam prep session. We have covered everything from key exam policies to essential skills like computer vision, NLP, and generative AI. Now it's your turn to dive into the practice tests and hands-on labs to reinforce your knowledge. Also remember, if you want to take your preparation to the next level, don't forget to register for our free AIML masterclass. It's packed with expert insights and will help fast-track your learning. You will be well on your way to acing your exams and landing those high-paying Azure roles. Also, if you found this session helpful, make sure to hit the subscribe button for more exam preparation tips and Azure AIML content. Also, leave a comment if you have any questions or need further clarification. So good luck with your exam preparation, and I'll see you in the next video.